for me to get the golf club moving and also get it moving up, I would explain this as like a Ferris wheel analogy. So if we went from Ferris wheel and then we added a merry-go-round that's running parallel to the ground, this would be our rotational component. So we create the rise, we add the merry-go-round in, and that's what starts to create our depth and gets this golf club moving around the arc right there.
So like my lead side's crunching, trail side extending, or lengthening.
And then reverse it on the through side.
Lead side extending, trail side crunching.
Yeah.
Ferris wheel early, merry-go-round later. Yeah, that was better too.
Love it.
All right, guys, in today's video, we got a really good one, something that I'm looking forward to learning about and putting into my own swing, something that I struggle with, really about the two different ways that the body rotates and the motion of the body and how that affects the rest of the golf swing. I saw Trevor do this video a couple months back, and it was so darn good. I've used this concept with many of my students in person as well. I really liked the way you ran through this. Trevor, for someone who hasn't seen that video, if you could walk us through this merry-go-round versus Ferris wheel concept.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look at golf, three-dimensional sport, the club moves up, it also moves around, right? So there's ways that I think that we need to move the body rotationally that I would say I've defined it in two different types or two different styles of rotation.
Okay.
I think there's a really important order as well that we do it in. So what I like to do as a visual is I'll take two alignment sticks and I duct tape these together. So if I pretend like I was doing a reverse bicep curl, here's how I would hold this. So for me to get the golf club moving and also get it moving up, I would explain this as like a Ferris wheel analogy. So from face on, what you would see is you'd see me working this on this plane right here. So this would be a Ferris wheel. So this is what's creating more of the rise in my backswing, but equally in the through swing, that's what's creating my rise. So you can see inside of this plane of motion, this is what's creating. It's creating the rise in the club. It's creating my left bend, and it's also helping me with extension. What I think is important though is there's more to it than that, because if I just did that with a golf club, I would just be here, I'd be here, and I'd probably hit Eric with a golf ball. So there's more to it than that. So we now need to add the three-dimensional portion of it, which is the depth.
Yes.
So if we went from Ferris wheel, and then we added a merry-go-round that's running parallel to the ground, this would be our rotational component. So we create the rise, we add the merry-go-round in, and that's what starts to create our depth and gets this golf club moving around the arc right there. So I think being able to understand and differentiate those two things and moving them in the proper order is very important. If I look at me, this used to be my order. And then I'd be like,
too. Yeah.
Well, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't create any rise in the golf club because I was taught to take my left shoulder to my right heel. And I'm here and now I'm trying to create rise and I didn't know where to go. So I think the first place that's really important there is creating this rise in the club, this Ferris wheel feel, which you can see from a down the line perspective, gets the golf club working from the floor up. And now as I add the merry-go-round piece, that's what creates my depth.
Yeah.
And what ultimately gets this golf club working in a circular motion on our plane right there. And so understanding how that works, the order in which it needs to move in, I think is invaluable. I wish I would have been taught this at a very young age versus I was just full merry-go-round and was like, well, where do I go from here now? Because if I try and go Ferris wheel late, now my upper body's in front. I just played this game for probably 15 years.
Yeah, and certainly I struggle with that as well. Lots of people that I see and work with go right into the merry-go-round and don't have the Ferris wheel at all, or they have the timing of it off, like you mentioned. Such a good concept, very good visual, dude. Absolutely love that. And then from a practice perspective, I like kind of how you put it together where you do, 1 or 2 rehearsals feeling the Ferris wheel,
Yep.
adding the merry-go-round to it, and then hitting with that feel.
Yep.
Can you kind of show us that with a club there? We do like 1 or 2 to get started.
Yeah, for sure. So like kind of my reference is I'd say I'm trying to get my Ferris wheel feel almost to lead arm parallel. So this is what's creating my side bend. So that would put the golf club in a little bit more of a vertical position. And then as I start to rotate the pelvis, that's what creates my depth, so that now this golf club's back on plane, and now I'm going to go through the same order there. I'm going to start to extend, or I'm going to start to Ferris wheel with rotation, and that's what gets my hand path working depth-wise on this side of the arc.
Yeah.
So it really works symmetrically backwards and forwards and helps us to create, I think, a more consistent circle.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So like, let's do a couple little practice ones where you do like the Ferris, you do the, 1 or 2 of those. Yep.
2.
Yep. And then add the depth.
And then I add the depth piece to it. So I'm with you. I like this. I go 1, 2. Then I add the rotation piece to it.
I love that feel.
Which creates my depth. It's almost a rehearsal I do quite often, because I think you and I struggle with the same thing. It's actually finishing my turn. And I think the reason we both struggle with that is,
no doubt,
this was our first move, and it's like, well, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have anywhere else to go.
You're in trouble. Let's do 2 rehearsals in 1 hit with the same thing, or 1 or 2 rehearsals, same hit. Ferris wheel, add the turn, and then let's clip one out with those same feels. Yeah. Let me hop in there, Trevor. So let me do a couple with the double stick here.
Yeah.
And then with the club
such a cool
too.
feel.
So
Such a cool feel.
Taking my setup, kind of palms away.
Yep.
And so I'm feeling this way. Yeah, okay. And you almost, even when you were doing it, kind of going on both sides.
Yeah, I would go both sides right there, because you're learning how to also trade tilts and bends right there.
Yeah. And anything in particular that you're feeling?
Stop right there. Go to the top again. I feel a lot of that right there.
Yeah, okay.
And you can probably feel the extending there in the right rib cage.
So like my lead side's crunching, trail side extending, or lengthening.
And then reverse it on the through side.
Lead side extending, trail side crunching.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. So sort of like left shoulder down, right shoulder up.
Yep.
Right shoulder down, left shoulder up. And then from there, then we're feeling more of the turning and the depth, okay.
There you go.
This Ferris wheel. Yeah, what a good little concept and visual. Let me try that with a club in. And I really like that, doing like a couple little rehearsals like you did, just to get that feel, then hit one. I think it's a really nice way to learn this too.
Yeah, warm it up.
So I'm feeling the same thing sort of. Yeah, so when I put a club in, I definitely feel the lead side crunch, right side bending piece on the way back, trail side extending earlier than what I'm used to, just going straight that way.
Right.
Got it, okay. So Ferris wheel, merry-go-round. And so you're feeling the merry-go-round from like here to the top?
Yeah, from left arm parallel. So this is where you'll start to turn and add the depth. So now you can see how the merry-go-round piece is what adds your depth to it.
Quite literally goes around.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So let me feel that same thing. Left side crunch, right side extending. Add the turn.
Beautiful.
And then same thing on the way through. 2. And then
Now
add
you've got
around.
a system to do it.
Come on. Okay, let me try and feel that with the same with my swing here. So I'm going to focus on this first one, Trevor, really on this first part, because I already do that merry-go-round part probably too soon.
Yep.
So I'm going to feel this Ferris wheel a little bit more. So players like you and I probably need to feel this part first, right?
For sure.
Yeah, so that's certainly for me compared to normal, feels like a noticeable change in my like natural, what I was taught into or what I do. Feeling definitely like I'm getting twisty right off the bat, chest more to the right. This feels like I'm staying much more centered. It feels like my arms and club are more in front compared to normal. I'm getting like too kind of flat or too deep too early.
See, now if I added one piece to this for everybody at home, I think a lot of us work so hard on trying to get the left shoulder down, and that was such a hard feel for me to do in the past because of the way that I would rotate, and then I'd try and go shoulder down, and I feel like I'm 3 foot nothing.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of a way, like when you watch Eric do this from down the line right here, when he starts going Ferris wheel, look at his shoulder plane. So he's able to maintain his height, and he's able to set his shoulder plane a heck of a lot easier because of the way that he's actually, the 2 types of rotation there that he's using. So you can see he's not losing height as he goes into this feel right here, which I think is a really important piece for everybody at home to understand.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I'm also, you know, one of the feels that helps me with this, because we always are very left shoulder dominant, is like you can also just feel the right shoulder going up and around.
Yeah.
As a way to do the same thing, that right side lengthening.
Yeah,
but if you don't like the left shoulder.
Absolutely.
Feels that. So I'm going to feel that same thing. A little more Ferris wheel early, merry-go-round later. Yeah, that was better.
That was perfect.
And so for me, the around part, I definitely need to focus. I think a lot of you guys watching have similar things there. You got to focus on this initial part. You said getting the club up, right?
Yep.
On the way back, versus me doing the merry-go-round, the club staying real low.
Yep.
This way real early.
There we go.
Yeah, okay, so I'm feeling that right shoulder. I'm almost feeling more of the right shoulder up and towards the target as my main feel. I'll just do one more here. Ferris wheel early, merry-go-round later. Yeah, that was better too.
Love it.
So I like that. I think that's a pretty simple visual. I really like that concept of the timing.
Yep.
So it's like we're doing those 2 different motions and getting that sequence of that correct.
Yep.
Very specifically. Obviously different players will have different patterns, but you got to kind of find where you fall on the spectrum. But
yeah, like obviously if you're the player that is reverse tilting in your backswing,
yeah.
Well, what's neat is we have a concept right here where you can take these 2 alignment sticks, or if you take your golf club and you hold it here, you're going to need to feel more merry-go-round firstly.
Right.
Okay, so take what you need from this and apply this to yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you go too much this direction early, you don't need to feel as much Ferris wheel, and vice versa. If you go too much behind it early, you're going to need to feel more Ferris wheel.
Exactly.
Use that as a concept to help yourself out based on what you need individually.
Yeah, a little video there, a little coaching would be good to figure that out. Like all these things, there's concepts that are good, and then you got to see where you fall and adjust it. So guys, if you want to check out Trevor's stuff, if you haven't already, we'll put all his links down below. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a comment, hit that like button, subscribe. Appreciate you watching.